Louisiana-style red beans and rice, oyster and artichoke bisque, Louisiana jambalaya. Welcome to Dishing It Out Louisiana Style. I'm Angela Bertone, your host. In Louisiana, we love to cook, we love to eat, and we love to talk about it. In Louisiana, we not only cook with our hands, we cook with our hearts. Some people call that Southern hospitality. We call that a way of life. Today is our Sicilian Heritage Day, and we're going to be making homemade lasagna. It's going to be a really fast and easy lasagna. So even though there are some recipes out there that take an all-day kind of thing, we're going to make this a short, easy one, and maybe one day we'll show you the long version. Also, we're going to be sharing with you some of our family memories where we made some homemade Sicilian cookies with some of my nieces, my sister-in-law, and a friend of ours. And then at the end, we'll be able to come back and we'll put together a Greek-Italian salad to kind of finish off our meal. So let's get started. We're going to fire up our pots. We have 2 of them going at one time. We're going to have one for our sauce and one for our ground meat. I have a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, extra light, in both of my skillet and my pot. We're going to put our ground meat. This is 1 pound of fresh ground meat. And we're going to get that seasoned up, and we're also going to get some vegetables going in this other pot. So let me turn down my fire since we're going to have both of them going at once. Okay, in my ground meat, we're going to do a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic, salt, black pepper, and some spices. So let's get a little piece of an onion going. And so since I don't want these to be really large, I'm going to go ahead and just give it a good dice as opposed to chunky, which is what we're going to do in our sauce. I want to go ahead and get both of my onions chopped and both in each pot, like I said, at the same time, so everything will kind of gel together and be done all at once. Now this one I'm going to go a little bit chunkier, and it's, you know, the larger part of the onion. And I'm also going to dice up some mushrooms. This is for my sauce. You don't have to put mushrooms. I just happen to have some in my refrigerator, and I thought, oh, that would be so nice. I love this recipe. I came home one afternoon. I was starving to death, hungry, craving lasagna, but didn't have an all-day time to cook it, and I didn't have any leftover spaghetti sauce in my freezer. So I thought, you know, I bet you I could make like a quick marinara and still make a really good lasagna. We'll just try it. And if it's not good, I'll just don't do that again. Okay, here's the spice. What we want to do in my onions for my marinara, I want to put a little bit of sugar. So I would say that maybe a half a teaspoon. I might come back and put a little bit more. And then we're going to go ahead and put black pepper. I don't think there's anything I don't put black pepper, salt, and garlic in. So you can just put that as a staple. If you don't know what else to do, put those 3, and you probably will not go wrong. We're going to put a little bit of salt. We'll salt it again a little bit later. I want those onions and the mushrooms to have the salty flavor. Okay, we're going to put some Italian seasonings, and this is going to have like your basil, maybe some rosemary and oregano. I want it just sprinkled fairly good. It's not like a teaspoon or anything, but everything's coated really well. And then my special ingredient that I want to add to this is anise and fennel. But I'm going to grind them up so that they'll break open and they'll release that flavor, and I want it fried in this oil. And it's not a whole lot. It's just, you know, maybe a little bit more than a pinch of each. But, oh my gosh, the licorice, the smell from the anise and the fennel is wonderful. I'm going to put that in the onions, stir that around. I need to cut the heat up on my ground meat here. It's not really frying up. We haven't seasoned that yet, so let's go ahead and get that done. Salt. Black pepper, garlic. Go ahead and go fairly heavy on the garlic. So that's it, salt, black pepper, and garlic on the meat. Now we're going to add to this vegetable pot our garlic. They're easy to smash if they're small. If they're large, you might want to peel them. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put our sauce in on our vegetables. We're going to start out with 1 can of tomato paste. You know, lasagna is a favorite in Louisiana. There's quite a few Italian restaurants around, but if you're not familiar with Italian or Sicilian food, especially in America and in Louisiana, it's been changed so much as the cultures come together and we borrow from each other. Basically, our lasagna is a layered dish of tomato sauce, meat, cheese, and pasta. And so it's all in one dish. In Louisiana, I'm sure in other places as well, it is a major favorite. If you mention lasagna, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say they didn't like it, but we're going to add 2 cans of crushed tomatoes. If you do not have a large pan and you're not feeding a large number of people, go ahead and just put 1 can of crushed tomatoes. That would be just fine. I had some people come over today thinking I was having lasagna earlier, and they didn't realize it was for supper, so I'm afraid I might end up having a few extra guests tonight, so I'm adding an extra can of the crushed tomatoes. And then we're going to taste this. Can you believe that's how easy the sauce is? That is pretty much it. I'm going to show you that. It's chunky, it's thick. It's going to be flavorful because of the spices that we put in it. And what we'll do is we'll finish up this ground meat browning, and when we come back after break, before we show you those special cookies and those family times in the kitchen with my nieces and my family, what we'll do is we'll get the cheese layer going, we'll layer it all up, put it in the oven, and then we'll be able to show you some of our family traditions that's been passed down all the way from Sicily to a little bitty town called Independence, Louisiana. We'll be right back. We're going to taste our sauce, marinara, make sure it tastes good, but since I doubled up thinking I might have company, my guess is I'm going to have to add some flavor into it, salt and probably some sugar. Well, you could really taste the spices of that anise and fennel, but I do need some more salt as well as some sugar. All right, we'll turn this off, and we're going to go ahead. So I'm going to add a couple of eggs, and I've let my meat cool during the break. I took it out, let the air hit it really well so that it would cool off and not cook these eggs. Stir those in. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to kind of give it a meatball texture, and I'm going to add these breadcrumbs and a little bit of cheese to it. And I don't know how much bread, this is a cup of breadcrumbs. You know, your meatballs got a really good tender texture to it, so we're trying to duplicate that without actually making a meatball. And then let's go ahead and put a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cheese in it. I have 2 small containers of salted cottage cheese. I'm going to add to this 3 eggs, a little bit of feta cheese, and some Romano. So here's my feta, it's crumbled up. And this is my Romano. I'm not going to add salt because all this cheese is already salted, every bit of it. Now, your cottage cheese is very watery, which is a good thing because this lasagna, we're going to put dry noodles in here. And with the noodles being dry, basically they're going to cook by absorbing the moisture from this cheese as well as the moisture from the marinara sauce. This is also the eggs are gonna allow the cheese to congeal for us so that it doesn't just kind of bubble up and just mix with everything else. I want it to have a good firm stack of cheese in between those layers of pasta. And years ago, I didn't know this, and I've tried many different ways, and I would just end up with a runny lasagna. So this really works well for me. Okay. Now it's time to layer. And I'm going to ladle some sauce right into the bottom of the pan. Remember, we need lots of liquid because our pasta is not cooked. Now, right on top of that sauce, we're going to put our meat. And I'm going to get my hands probably fairly dirty because I want to make sure it's all spread good. And this is kind of gooey once I've placed my breadcrumbs and my eggs in here. It's kind of clumping together. but like I said, the texture is going to be much better on your palate by adding that egg and breadcrumb. Now that looks good. I'm going to put my lasagna. Now I can go long ways or I can go this way. I like it to be crossways, so they're not going to be perfectly pretty, but they will cut easy when you go to take it out. And I do kind of like layer little pieces all along the edge. Okay, now we're going to go with our cheese. See how watery that is? Before putting the egg, it presented a problem. I would just have a runny lasagna. It just seemed it would not set for me. But adding those eggs really did help. All right, so now we're going to put another layer of pasta, and then we're going to put our sauce, and we're going to be done. We'll go in the oven. All right, I've got a little bit of room here on the end. I want to fill that in. I used to worry about it being perfectly straight, but you're never going to see this on the inside, so you're not going to know that it's not perfectly straight other than the one who puts it together. But as long as everybody gets a bite of noodle with their meal, that's the objective here, and it's going to be beautiful when it all cooks together anyway. So you can just throw all this extra. I'm going to put a little bit on top anywhere there's little holes, line everywhere. How easy is that? So now we're going to ladle this on top. And you can top this off with provolone or with mozzarella. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to top it with any cheese right now because it's going to bake for right at an hour. So what I don't want to happen is my cheese to get too golden brown. So I'm going to let it cook for like 30 minutes. Then I'm going to take it out, put my cheese on top, and then I'm going to let it go back in the oven for another 30 minutes. That way, my cheese is not too golden brown or burnt at that 375 temperature. There we go. And I do like to save a little bit of sauce, whatever I have, because my husband likes a little bit extra, so I'll save that for him. Okay, we're going to put this in the oven. We'll show you some cookies and some of the Sicilian festival. We'll be back in just a moment. Today we're going to be making some Italian cookies with a whole group of people. This is my family and friends of family. I have Linda, my sister-in-law, here in the back. I have Lindsay, Lauren, Tristan, and Cheryl Santangelo. What we're going to do today is we're going to make all sorts of Italian cookies. Our family's from Sicily. Okay, so Cheryl Santangelo is going to show us how to make these Italian cookies. Everybody's going to help out, not only cooking but eating. We're going to go get everything, start getting it mixed up for you, start making some cookies and show you what we do, and then we'll come back at the end and show you all of our hard work for today. So tell us what St. Joseph Altar is.
Their families had a drought in Sicily. There was no food. People were dying off, and bodies were all over. People passed away because of starvation. So the only thing that they were able to grow were fava beans, and that's something they would feed the horses, but it grew in all types of weather. They planted the fava beans, and when they grew, they just fed everybody. And that's what kept them, and the ones who lived, that's what kept them alive. The altar itself, St. Joseph altar, wasn't really called that at the very beginning. It was like 3 years after that is when they started doing St. Joseph's altar. And what the ladies did, husbands would build it from understanding, but the ladies would make their best dishes. You might make the chocolate balls every year. Somebody else might make the snowballs. You know, everybody had their own perfect cookie, and it was most beautiful, and that's why they tried to put the most beautiful on top of the altar. As time went on, it came to America when they started coming over to our country, and they still do it. You'll see it in different parts of Louisiana. New Orleans is big on it. I have some French relatives that they do it every year as well.
What it really is, it's honoring the family unit, meaning Mary, Joseph, and them having baby Jesus.
Because he was the patron of the home. And so that's what they did. They honored him. It just happened, it started raining, things started happening when they prayed, and that was their faith. And so they believed that this is why this happened this way. So they went ahead and they just kept honoring him year after year.
It's just a beautiful way to honor the family. To
it
me.
really is.
Okay, you guys, here we are after a long, hard day in the kitchen. Miss Cheryl, Lindsay, Lauren, Linda, Tristan, and me, your host, Angela. We have baked all these cookies. We're going to be eating them in just a minute.
These are chocolate balls, the solid white ones as well. We just ice them different colors so we can get more variety of looks. This is also the green. And then these are the ends,
That's
okay?
our rear end cookies.
The rear end cookies. These are the figs and dough. Then we have our cherry balls, our ginger laneys, and then we have plain chocolate. Angela likes them plain. And then we demonstrated one fig cookie icing. These are our rock chocolate cookies here.
All right, you guys, we have shown you how Sicilian is done Louisiana style. So join us next time where we dish it out Louisiana style.
Bye.
Okay, that's the bell. It's time for us to put the cheese on. We're going to take the lasagna out, put our cheese on our lasagna, put it right back in the oven. And this is freshly ground, grated mozzarella that I bought from our market here in town. I'm making it a little easy on myself. Remember, this is my quick version of lasagna. So I made sure when I purchased everything, it was something I could put together quickly. Gosh, this looks wonderful. So 30 more minutes, and then we'll take it out. In the meantime, when we come back, we'll get that salad that I promised you going. All right, do you have your forks ready for this wonderful Greek-influenced Sicilian salad? And we have a bowl of different kinds of lettuce. We have a spring mix, and actually I went ahead and cleaned it and chopped everything up really small. Actually, I tore it. I don't really put a knife on my lettuce because it'll make it brown a little bit sooner than I want it to. So I usually, if I tear it, it just makes your salad last longer. So I've tore a mixture of spring lettuce as well as, my husband calls it escarole, which is an Italian lettuce that is kind of got a little bit of a bitter taste to it. So I've got it mixed in with some sweet lettuce so that it'll give you a good balance of flavor. And we have provolone cheese that we're going to roll with our salami, tomatoes, feta cheese, artichoke, and some olives. So let's go ahead and get our salami rolled with our provolone. And it's really easy to do. You just layer one on top of the other. Roll it. And you want to put this out and have it room temperature, because if you take it right out of the refrigerator and you try to do this, it's not going to actually stay together. And just kind of mash it down a little bit with your hands so that it will stay. But it makes for a really beautiful presentation. All right, so let's go ahead and get a couple of these done and placed in there. If my granddaughter was here, she would say that this is her circle cheese. She thinks that the shape of the cheese changes the flavor, so she doesn't like square cheese. She likes provolone, is what she's trying to say, but she's 4. So she hasn't quite figured out why she likes the circle cheese so much. She'll come over and she'll specifically ask, Nana, can I have circle cheese? And of course, Nana always has it. And then my husband and my son and my daughter, they love this salami, so they'll just eat it up. And I'm just throwing that extra cheese in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut my tomatoes. That looks so good. Okay, we've got our artichoke hearts. I went ahead and I cut them in quarters. They were full, small size. I prefer the small ones so that they're very tender. If you find any that's still tough on the tips, just cut that off so that whenever you put it in your salad, you don't have a real tough texture to the tooth. And go ahead and just place these in here. This is a really nice salad to, I wouldn't even toss it. I'm just going to leave it like it is, and then when I set it on the table, it would look really pretty for my guests. If you like, you can throw some pistachios or sesame seeds in there. All right, let's go ahead and do a couple more of these, and then we'll throw that feta cheese on top. I've made some Italian dressing during the break with olive oil, vinegar, and water. And after that, you just put your spices. And look, there goes my bell, right on time. Let's put these in here, put that feta cheese, and take that lasagna out of the oven. Mason jar here with our homemade Italian dressing. Oh, you see how brown that is? Now you see why we timed when we put that cheese on top so that it doesn't burn. Okay, so we have our beautiful salad, we have our lasagna. We'll let this set for just about 15 minutes and then we'll plate it up for you. All right, you guys, it's time to see if we can get this lasagna out of its bed. See if we can put it to rest forevermore. Oh yeah, look at that. And it's also time to cut the cheese, so hold your nose. We're gonna have a little bit of fresh Romano right on top. You probably haven't seen this in a restaurant, but this is what we do at home. And we're gonna do the same thing on our salad. Okay, time for the taste test. Well, that is good. Noodles are tender. The meat's got the texture of a meatball like I wanted. I'm not going to plate up this salad because I do have guests coming later. So I want it to be beautiful for them. But I've eaten this so many times, trust me. It's delicious. Homemade dressing. Ready for my guests. I'm not going to put it on my salad so my salad doesn't wilt early. And then, just for my sweetie pie, a little extra of the sauce left over to the side so he can drizzle it or dip it how he likes. So you guys join us next time. And after we've shown you our day of Sicilian heritage, Louisiana style, we hope you join us for more of Dishing It Out, Louisiana style.